Hey everyone, my name is Hunter Page, and today we're going to be going over how to blend two images together for optimal dynamic range. So I guess a little bit of why we would do this. The reason is when you're photographing a sunrise and the sky just explodes in color, as you see in this image here, the sky is always going to be brighter than the landscape or the foreground. So generally your camera's capabilities are not capable enough of bridging the gap between the highlights of the sky and the dark shadows of the foreground. And so that is why we take two pictures, one exposed specifically for the sky and one exposed specifically for the foreground. So essentially what we're going to be doing here is taking this foreground and placing it on this image, more or less. Now, there are a couple things that need to be done because, I'm not going to put this exact image, exactly how it looks, to this image here. I am here in Camera Raw, which is a precursor to Photoshop. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to select both of these images. You can just command click and select both of these images. And there's just a couple things I want to do. I'm going to come over to detail and make sure my sharpening is all the way down, no noise reduction is on, and then you can come over to optics and use profile corrections. I will turn this on. And then from this point we're going to be going for one image at a time. So we'll start with this one here. Because this image is so bright, it's not going to look good blended with this image here. So there's a couple things that we're going to want to do. First and foremost is we need to dim this down a bit. So something I like to do is I'll come down to the curves. Just grab lower down and I'll just add a little bit of contrast into this, kind of settling the colors a bit more. And then I will come up to light and I'm going to take down our highlights a bit, pretty much all the way actually. Take down the exposure just a hair to where this landscape looks like it is receiving just reflecting light from the clouds. I'll pull up shadows just a bit so it doesn't look so dark in these deeper shadows here. And then I'll come to the color adjustment panel, and because this is so warm, I might add a little bit of cooler temperatures into that. So I'll click into this box and just take that down just a couple notches, about right there. And then I'll grab the tint slider and I'll play around with this. I don't want too much magenta down, especially down in these shadows. You can kind of see it creeping in. So take that 18, maybe come down maybe about 11. Okay, so that's looking pretty good to me. I will call that good as is right here, and we'll go over to the sky image. If you look over here on the histogram, you can see that the reds are clipping, which is going to be right in this zone right here. So to fix that, let's come up to the light, grab our highlights here, and we're just going to push those down a little bit. If they're clipping a little, it's okay, but I don't want it to the point where it's hitting the ceiling up here. Maybe bring up shadows just a little bit so the darkness in these clouds aren't so prominent. Now at this point, we can add some warmth or some magenta into the sky to further accentuate the sunrise. So I'll grab the temperature slider, maybe push it toward yellow a little bit. Looks pretty good to me. Same thing with the magenta. You don't want to add too much. I really enjoy the yellow that's naturally in here. Oops. So I'm just going to add a little bit of magenta. I don't want these clouds turning too red. Alright, at this point that's looking good to me. You know, something you can do is you can, you know, take away some clarity, give like that ethereal kind of feel, like soft glow. So I'll go about -6 on here. Now this is just kind of fun stuff to mess around with, so it's not a necessity for what we're doing, but it is nice to do. So at this point you're going to select both of these images and come to open objects. You know, make sure this isn't opening as a copy, it is opening as an object. We're here in Photoshop. What we want to do is get both of our images, which are shown right here, to show up stacked in the layer panel. So what we want to do is just come up to the top bar menu, select layer, duplicate layer. Here at document, this is the current file that is showing, but we're going to select the 5731 and click OK. Go ahead and click this image here, and down below in the layers panel you can see that both images are now stacked on one another. There are many different methods that we can do in order to, you know, get the sky from this image and place it on this image here. But I think the easiest way to do this, generally speaking, is selecting just the sky of the image and then masking that in. And I'll tell you exactly how to do that. So our first step is going to be coming up to the top bar menu, going to select and down to sky. When you click this, it's going to automatically generate a selection tool where it is purely selecting the sky. Granted, it doesn't always do the best job. As you can see, coming right here, you can see it dips down below the horizon. There's a couple areas on Henry Mountain that is not selected as well. So we are going to fix that. Let's come up here and select the selection tool, and we're going to zoom in and fix this selection. So using the minus, we're going to click and drag just along the horizon. Now that I have successfully selected the sky here, I'm going to save the selection just here in the channels by using this masking icon. You can see that it just created an alpha 1. So when you click on this, you can see that it is not selecting foreground, it is only selecting the sky. Now that we have selected purely the sky, I'm going to select purely the foreground. So this is pretty easy to do. All you got to do is come up with this selected, select and inverse. You can see that it has now selected the foreground. It has not selected the sky. And the same thing, just come over here to the mask tool and select that. So now you have a selection for the foreground and for the sky. And this is going to come in handy, as you will see here in a little bit. So go ahead and we're going to select alpha 1 by pressing command and clicking alpha 1. This is just selecting the sky. Now come down to the layers adjustment panel and you're going to select the masking tool, and this has successfully blended in the foreground off of the sky image. So again, all you do is just click the masking tool. So as you can tell, this looks a little too bright in comparison to the sky, and so that is exactly why I had to select a foreground. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to command click alpha 2, because what we want to do is darken this foreground a little bit to make it look more realistic. So again, Command click Alpha 2. This is going to select the foreground. Come up to the curves. I'm just going to grab this and bring this down a little bit until it looks how it should, until it looks accurate to the sky. You can toggle this on and off, and that looks pretty dang good to me. And this is my preferred method for replacing the sky or blending in a sky or blending multiple images together. Pretty easy way of going about it. At this point, you can go ahead and edit this image exactly how you would like to edit it. Completely up to you. But as far as blending goes, this is complete. Well, I appreciate you watching, and if you would like to learn any more on educational videos such as this, feel free to visit my website at hunterpagephotography.com, as well as photography trips and workshops. Thank you all. Have a good day.